50 years ago in April 1925, Cambodian, Laotian, Vietnamese witnessed the tragedy, the end of our freedom. From that day, we also lost our homeland. But together, we moved to the new country, rebuild our life. It's very, very hard for us to learn a new cultures, the language, but the resilience of the Asian, South Asian people, you know, that's a kind in our blood. Year after, the world witnessed things happen in Cambodia. So the genocide. To me, to look back the history, I look back with the proud. I cannot change the history, but I can change the way and think about that. Today, look at the Cambodian community in Long Beach. You go on Anaheim Street, and you can see a restaurant, you see the business, and at night time you can see Cambodian people hang out. I witnessed the dance, the fashion, the cultures, the temple. I'm so proud to live near them. I'm so proud that some of my students are excellent Cambodian students. And I'm so proud to host the exhibition Rumduol. So one more time, welcome. And tonight, I have the privilege to have Karla, a winner from Long Beach City College Directors of the gallery, Sayon, Sovanchan, and Tida. We don't have Prum, he returned to Cambodia, but maybe Sayon can help me to introduce some member the UCC and Cambodian community here to welcome them tonight.
So welcome everyone. I just wanted to also announce that this Rumduol event and this art exhibition is part of the 50th year event in reflecting back in what Brian has already mentioned with the Cambodian contribution, the diaspora, since the refugee community has been here in Long Beach and throughout the United States and the world. And this partnership with the Ice House, with Brian, wouldn't have happened without the support of the Rumduol Foundation and the committee members such as Savannah, Sam Limon, she's out there somewhere, and also a staff member here, UCC staff, Emily is right there too. And of course all the artists, Prom, Tida, and Sovanchan, making it happen. So, and of course for you all to be here to enjoy this space, this amazing space, right? Yes. And this past 2 months has been an amazing work in community gathering and celebration. So I'm really proud of what we accomplished together.
So due to that, let's start, okay? So we had a conversation with artists here. We asked them some questions, but you welcome to also ask us a question, also the artist directly, okay? When we just raise a hand. So only 1 hour, and after that we can continue to have the conversation individually. Karla, maybe introduce yourself again.
Sure, yeah. I can introduce myself. I think also the conversation is being recorded, so later when you all have questions, make sure that you try to speak up so that that can be captured in the video. So my name is Karla. I am the art gallery manager for Long Beach City College, and I am the one person on this panel that is completely foreign to this experience. And I really am so grateful to be in this conversation with you all. I work with Brian very closely at LBCC, and Sayon was in one of the exhibitions we did at Long Beach City College. We actually showed that same piece about a year ago in a different exhibition. And Sovanchan I've known for a long time. an incredible admirer of her work, and we have also shown her work at the Long Beach City College Art Gallery. And Tita someday will have her art in the gallery too, because she's an incredible artist and really someone that really captures, I think, so many of the layers of the conversation we're going to talk about. But what else was I going to say? I lost my, what was I? Well, I am new to Long Beach, but one thing that I've always admired is just the diversity of the experiences that happen in Long Beach. And now running the art gallery at LBCC, it was really important that at least my supervisor was telling me how important the Khmer community is in Long Beach, and I had known that there's a lot of Vietnamese refugees and migrants in Long Beach as well. So for me, it's been a really important role of understanding. I'm Latina, I'm from Mexico, I moved here when I was 19 years old. I understand the immigrant experience. I grew up at a border where there's constant, migration of people, and understanding that all of our experiences, borders are super traumatic. So I also understand that. And I think a lot of the conversation we're going to have, I think, is so important to also understand, even as Americans, how our country is still involved in warfare, globally, and the impact that has on generations, right? So I think it's really woo. Anyways, it's still just really amazing to get to celebrate and try to, see the resilience in this community, but how that connects to all of our stories, hopefully. So it's not just about, oh, this is what happened to them far away, but really how that is a ripple effect over so many different generations. So, awesome, lovely. Thank you again for having me.
Thank you, Karla. That's a great introduction, but let's start with the question, do we? I want to start with Sayon. We have known each other for a while, more than 10 years. Sayon used to teach at LBCC as well. We have some shows together from US, Korea, Cambodia, One question is I always see you involved into community. So how can you do that? How can you balance work between being an artist, studio time, and also working with community?
Yeah, that's what I opened up with a little bit earlier, wearing multiple hats, especially being an artist. Some artists could isolate themselves and just do studio work and produce. I work at United Cambodian Community, of course a nonprofit, but I also use a lot of my artwork in the community too. And this is where I think the intersection of those creative work happen and the community work come together. And I really feel privileged to be able to do both.
What are the benefits of it?
Definitely the benefit is you really get to build the community that you live in, that I live in. And you get to know folks, people that are in a leadership role, the city, obviously the schools and universities here in Long Beach, and really seeing talents on the ground, such as these amazing artists and the artists within Long Beach as well. So we're so vibrant in creativity.
Thank you.
Well, now I have a question for Sovanchan. So Sovanchan's work, if you don't know which pieces are hers, are these luminous presences that are behind you. And if you notice the work of how Sovanchan is working, you might think, oh, this is just a fabric and she's, building it over some kind of armature. But a lot of it is very mysterious to me, because this is, again, so many layers of how she builds these images. So you've chosen a very muted palette, and your background is in design. You went to Cal State Long Beach and LBCC, and you are very familiar, you work as a designer. But can you tell us why you've chosen to make something that is, first of all, you're weaving these things with materials that you are literally straining yourself while you're making these. So can you tell us more about the materials and why you've chosen to work with just literally the absence of color?
Yeah. So I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with like working on a traditional floor loom. I work on like a 10 shaft floor loom. It's like a double warp beam. This probably sounds like gibberish to you guys. But I had started this series back in 2017 when I was like doing my thesis. And I had this like reoccurring dream of a light at the end of the tunnel, and every time I ran towards it, it was never ending, and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't get out of it, and it would come into my dream constantly. And so I had maybe a month left to create one of the weavings, actually this one here, and I was really drawn to creating that same ephemeral feeling of this endless tunnel, this light that was so bright, the feeling of like being embodied and stuck and wanting to break free, and something that felt very ghostly and illuminating. And it also ties into the materiality of my work. I use primarily cotton and silk, raw silk, and a lot of the inspiration in my work I call them light boxes. It's not the most attractive way to describe the work, but it's sort of this idea of thinking about the life cycle of a silkworm, right? And a cocoon, and how there's this constant rebirth within my identity and like my lineage and my family's journey coming here to the US from Cambodia. And yeah, it's sort of, the life cycle of the silkworm is still this idea that I'm still playing with in my work, and each piece in the next weaving I will be an iteration of the one prior.
You know, your work remind me similar to one of Khmer American artist, Sophia Pitch. He living in Phnom Penh now. He mostly bamboo, weave together the image of things. Sometimes lit up like lantern. Sometimes just open the unfinished Buddha. And I love that piece, you know, from the Met, New York. It's just to me like the Cambodian history not well ended in 12th century in Siem Reap, but it continued today, still written by the people who continue to live and carry that culture over the world. Like the artist like Tida here, continue with the Apsara dance, or you continue with Luminate, the kind of spirit that from our culture. So how long it take you to conceptualize and come up with the idea, and when you know it's been done?
If I'm being honest, I feel like none of these pieces are completed, and I get so attached to them that it's really difficult for me to let them go. And they are a family. They are very much like, once I continue this series, it's going to be a village that stays together. And I will not, if any collectors out there that wants one, I'm like, you need to buy the whole collection. But the concept starts from like, honestly, that first weaving. And I have like a sketchbook at home where sometimes I jot down just keywords like cocoon, silkworm, light, weight, just anything I could possibly think of. I wish I was like a better writer, but I'm better with like describing my feeling and how my body reacts and how it's in tune in the moment. So it starts from just literally in my sketchbook, and I will continue to just draw like, what do I want this next light box to look like? What size and why this size? Do I want to continue using the same materiality? I think I want to continue to use cotton and silk just to keep it in the same family. But it sometimes takes me like a month to 2 months to produce. And it actually, with weaving, requires a lot of technical work and math involved. So prior to even starting on the loom, it requires for me to sit down and do some math and figure out, how am I making this continuous tube into a more sculptural piece, where you oftentimes see weaving as just a like one sheet, two-dimensional sheet. So yeah, it just, that's sort of my process right now, and it's something I'm still exploring, but weaving-wise, the technical aspects can take anywhere between 1 and 2 months.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, we still have one artist here. I think we have another member, but I hope he can make it. Paul Lawyer from Long Beach Museum, but there's no event going on, so I hope he's still coming. For Tida, I know Karla, you want to...
Do you want me to ask Tita's question?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
I did ask.
Well, this is Tita's piece, because I think also the audience needs a visual so that you know. And I want you all to see the piece and how there's hands creeping from, if you're sitting in the back, there's hands that look like zombie hands. They're not nice, freshly alive hands that are coming out of the artwork with nails that are just like royal. They're glittery, purple, iridescent. So just want you to have a visual because, and then there's a plant coming out from a crack in the bed. So just that visual. And I know, Tita, there's a lot of, in a lot of your paintings, which first of all, you're mostly known as a painter, and this is a sculpture that we're seeing.
Yes.
And there's always hands, and nails are very prominent in a lot of your paintings. And I could read the question that Brian prepared.
Well, I guess I could start off with like introducing myself. I don't know if people are familiar with my work, but I'm a contemporary painter, and I'm known right now for what would you say? Contemporary figurative painting. A couple of things that are like going on for me right now is I have a painting up at LACMA, which is the Los Angeles County Museum of Art, up right now. So if you have a chance, catch that. That one is showing one of the larger pieces that I known for. And there's another show at a gallery in Los Angeles called Marion Goodman Gallery. So if you happen to be in West Hollywood area, that's something to stop by too, to see another piece of my work. And that speaks more to the work that I'm actually doing right now. It's more of like kind of the style that I work in, really. The works that you see in here, that one is based from 2023. This was part of a museum solo show that I had in Long Beach Museum of Art in downtown. So it was accompanied with a few other sculpture pieces in that solo show, along with a number of paintings. So Brian asked to actually revive the work again for this exhibition, and I decided, oh, why not, you know. So it's third presentation. Actually, the very first one was the solo show that I had in LA, my very first solo show. That's when I actually first made the sculpture, and it was to accompany a solo exhibition, a number of paintings and such. Whereas these paintings are actually a much younger version of me. This is like before I started exhibiting in museums and galleries. This is like freshly after school, after I've graduated college, and this is like, these paintings are around 2018, and I graduated in 17. So yeah, just to give you a background.
Because how education shaped you as creator artist. I know when I asked you to get involved to the show, 50-year anniversary of Khmer American community here in Long Beach, and I was thinking about the last show that in downtown, that bad were paid. I talked to Paul about that. We talked about people confused that, you know, the hand coming out and they say, is that banana fruits? But it looked like banana, you know, bunch. But I say no. If you read artist statement, it's not like the fruits. It could be, but it's something else from kind of like self-portrait. And to South Asia culture, banana important. The end of Vietnam War in April 1975, my family escaped by helicopter My grandma just packed a lot of banana on the airplane. For the next 3 days, we just peel out banana and eat. That's it. We don't have to cook anything. So it's how banana important to our culture and cuisine. So I look at that. I kind of creepy, right? But I love that bit. But back into the question.
Yeah, you mentioned the hands.
Right.
Yeah,
Why the
because I
hand?
think the hands,
Yeah.
I mean, in some interviews I've read of your work, the nails are not, you really, that's a reference to, or you can tell us if it is a reference to Khmer culture. And then there's always some kind of like ghostly presence in a lot of your paintings. Obviously these paintings that are from your younger time, I think the color palette and the treatment definitely looks like your contemporary work, but in your current work, the hands are always sort of the presence of a ghost or some kind of like ancestor, but it's always something really, it's not like a happy memory. They're always kind of creeping in the shadows and always kind of like, there's death that's kind of trying to always like is in the room at some point. So can you tell us more about the nails? Does that connect? And then also how you're maybe talking about ancestors in your work.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so with the hands, they came up during the early stages of my painting career, and it stemmed from a conversation that I actually had with my mom. And this was a time when I was really just trying to understand actually my own identity as a Cambodian American. For the first time as a young adult, I was taking a good look at that, and I was very much observing the kind of conversations that I was having with my family, from sister to brother, mother to father. And my mother was always a very special conversation because I think growing up, I always understood that she was having a hard time. But, when you're young, you do the best to make, kind of like normalize, like this is how a household is. But I've grown to a point of like asking her, just kind of being very calm. Like I was grown now. And the conversation was, I was just sitting with her, she grabs my hand, she looks at it, and she goes, "Your hands are wrinkly." And I was sitting there and I'm like, I laugh at myself because I'm like, I get what you're saying. You're saying my hand, I have hardworking hands, but she couldn't help but phrase it that way. And it made me really think about this kind of womanhood that my mom has gone through versus the one she's given to me. And decided to put that narrative into a painting, just the hands, like no faces, just that hand. And once I made that painting, actually a colleague of mine, a studio mate, saw the painting and it didn't have the nails yet. And he was like, "Yo, those are hardworking hands." I was like, wow, I just painted it and that was it. And I was like, okay, this is something. I just decided to go on with it. And later on I was like, well, can they tell if it's a woman? What can I, like, how do I, define that without having to say too much to the hand, right? And I decided like glitter nails because my mom used to do her nails, she used to do it lots of times, but she would always cook so they would get ruined, quickly. And I decided like, I don't really do my nails either because I'm always working with my hands, and I only do them nicely when I go out to look really nice. So that feminine touch is like something I needed to add to that component or an element that I just realized that's in my vocabulary I just made. Ever since that moment, I just kept going forward with the hands, but they slowly started finding a way to work themselves in the composition. Like Karla said, they creep up in parts of my paintings in ways that are very eerie because it's always in the corner, it's always kind of situated in a place that seems pretty dark, or it's very obscured of what's perhaps going on. And even the hands themselves, the way they are composed, leaves you in a situation where it's like you don't know what they're about to do. And I do that on purpose, I do that. as a painter to keep you sticking around long enough to think about what kind of narrative am I trying to spell out for you. You know, that's part of the process of creating a painting.
That's a beautiful answer. Before we continue, I ask if any audience here want to ask questions to the artist of us.
So, out of all the professions and work that you can choose and pick from in terms of your career and life, why did you choose the field of art? And at what age were you when you decided that I think this is what I want to do? And you picked painting before, then you went into sculpture, then you're doing this in LA, then you have weaving. Like why those particular materials and mediums, and what started you in art?
I can start. So for me, a little bit about my background is I came to this country as a refugee, and I learned how to use art in the refugee camp, and I think it really was a safe haven for me, and then now I use it to build community and to talk about various things, right? Identity, trauma, and I use that's where the whole cosmos of mixing and intersectionality of art and community activism happen. And I think I made the learning about Cambodia and coloring about Cambodia book is also connecting with young people's younger children, to have them learn about their identity and culture. So that's I really think a lot of kids that are born in this country, could get reconnected and learn about their arts and history. And plus, the history was the Khmer arts almost got wiped out because of the war. So, and I thought I have a duty to uplift that.
So your question was like how it started, right? Why weaving? Why art? So this is what I do on the side. My work in the last 10 years, it was in fine art. I was actually Karla's sister's, Tanya Aguiniga, her production manager, and produced a bunch of work for gallery shows and private clients and hotels and things like that. And then that led me into working for a furniture design company, and now I'm working in interiors and furniture design industry. So I work with architects and interior designers. Anyway, so that is my full-time job. So my therapy is weaving, thank God, because therapy is expensive. And I mean, you guys know the healthcare system here is just not it. So weaving actually, I was thinking about this about a month ago. I want to say the first time I actually wove something was during Thanksgiving. In first grade, we had to make placemats. It was all the first grade students sat in front of the library on our little butts, and we all had brown and orange sheets of paper that we had to weave together. So that was my first memory of weaving. And my second memory was braiding my siblings' hair, my cousin's hair. That was something that was a constant in my family. I grew up with a lot of women, and weaving happened fast forward 15, 20 years. At Cal State Long Beach, prior to weaving, sorry, I'm all over the place now. I was working in sculpture, and then I was doing graphic design. So there was always this mix of fine art and design, and it's also another conversation and dialogue that a lot of people continue to have of people wanting to separate the two, even though they both work together and borrow so much from each other, design and craft. So I started weaving because it felt so right to me in 2016, and it felt familiar, and there's something so powerful about working on a floor loom and finding ways to break out of something so rigid that just felt good to me. But yeah, I hope.
Because I think just being from a Khmer family, you know, they would really hope that you end up with a career that has security. And art really isn't that. It's a lot of adventure, but there's a lot of like high risk. You take a lot of chances with yourself, you know, and it's a big investment. It's a very selfish practice too, you know, if you're really reaching that high master level, just very godlike approach to art making. But you know, I had a very interesting year in 2014 that completely changed my mind. Soon after I touched ground in New York, I was asked to do a studio residency, visit 12 studios for a whole week in New York. It was paid for, funded, you know, and I was awarded a number of scholarships that year, and that actually changed my mind. Because, you know, at home they didn't know how to encourage me. They didn't, you know, they had no idea what that future would entail for me. So I had to finally kind of like, okay, this is something you should give 100% for. If you're getting so much support, like outside the box of your own family, maybe it's something to consider. And so I dove right in. There was also just like personal things that happened in my life that convinced me to, you know, really put all of myself into it. And I actually turned out to be the best decision ever. Because the door opened up for me in so many ways that I didn't see possible. And now that I've had this opportunity, I can definitely open it for other people.
That's a great question. I just briefly wonder, as a teacher at LVCC, this is my 18 years working there. Every semester I have about 3 to 4 Khmer students. I guess they work very hard, smart, artists, but very few of them graduate in art. So my question is like, what's wrong in here? Why we have them, you know, in the system, but we can hold them until they become Tida or Sovanchan, you know? But back into me, myself too, like, as an Asian parent away, came to the country after the war. They want the kid to get some like stable job, a lawyer, or dentist, or engineer, you know. So they think to them that the job, art, what is that? What's the art? It's so abstract idea, you know. And we know that from the culture, learning history of art, or, you know. We just survive day by day. But to new country like the US, it's everything about art. Everything on your body, everything you look around have to base on artistic idea. So myself, like become an art teacher or an artist, like it gets like challenging the idea to win over the family approval, you know, approval. But then you somehow, like Tida or Sovanchan, you have to take your own way. Sometimes you have to leave them behind for a couple of years. And like Tida just say, that there's so many doors for minority, like for myself, you know. The college time was I start to realize I can get scholarship, I can get grant, I can go to Auckland. Like I went to Cambodia in 2010 on Fulbright. That's the first time I know the country of sample. So I think there's so many opportunities for the student or Khmer student or the parents to take a little time to encourage and to me to send a student to art program is a really hard decision. But if you see your kid have that kind of talent, please support them. Please support them because you have the beautiful temple in the world. You have the most beautiful temple in the world. You have the most beautiful dance in the world, the outfit, everything. Who built that? If not Khmer artists, and then who else? So that tradition can go into blood, into the chromosome, in your DNA. Now the young generation in the US, maybe third generation, let them be blossom. Let them explore the opportunity and possibility to become artists. So that's the thing I want to send a message to Cambodian parents here in Long Beach. Have them keep the kids in their class and see the result like Tida and Sovanchan here. Thank you for that question. Any other question from the audience? Well, I mean,
Oh, there's one.
yeah, okay.
Hi, I wanted to ask about your vision for how you see Cambodian American artists, where they are in the next 5-10 years, or where you hope it for yourself or others to be for Khmer American art or artists.
I didn't think I was going to be the first one to respond to that. I hope that we can move towards a path where trauma is celebrated, or not celebrated, we don't want to, well, trauma is acknowledged, right? And understanding our family's history. But I would like to move towards a path of celebrating more of our culture as Cambodian Americans, first gen, second, 1.5 gen here in the US, and being more vulnerable and open about our collective or individual experiences here that isn't necessarily always tied to pain and trauma. That's something I would like to see moving forward. Not saying I want to dismiss our family's experience, but it's become this, I feel like this constant narrative, and I feel like there's so much more as Cambodian creatives in this, I consider the golden era right now. There are incredible talent out there and we're hidden, and I just feel like there's so much to break and so much that we can show that's beyond our trauma. So.
Yeah, I think for me, part of this Rumduol event this past 2 months, you know, there's been amazing writers, literary writers, and filmmakers that's telling Cambodian stories, Cambodian American stories, biracial stories, and I think especially for visual artists too, then I'd like them to be in a place where the parents celebrate them with their kids instead of like, oh wait, it's almost like taboo when I was growing up at least. You know, when you learn about other people's challenges and or, I don't know, rising up, there's also this kind of identity issue when I grew up in trying to not be this shameful around being a refugee and trying to identify as a new American or new Cambodian American, really trying to fit in. So hopefully, you know, as we move forward and recognizing the trauma and what we've gone through, then we begin to like uplift, and I think there's like a ascending of talents already, and I think we just need to cultivate that and celebrate it.
Yeah, I agree. Like 5-10 years from now, because right now there's a lot of excitement in the air that I feel, because my parents came in the third wave in the 80s, and it's like all the babies that were born then and in the 90s, we've grown now. We're like, a good chunk of us are like 30. We're making families here. So, and we want to, you know, build a community. We want to really set our roots deep. And as an artist, Cambodian American artist, I really feel the need to participate in spaces beyond like just the local. That I need to be a part of a platform that is accessible to all, yet open to like these small communities. And there's definitely great, massive creatives right now, and I feel like everybody is doing the most to help, cultivate and nurture that. It'd be very exciting if bridges start being built between those pockets of creative communities. That's what I'm looking forward to in the future.
Great. Well, we still have Karla. You want?
Do you want me to ask more questions?
Well, Karla is not only a curator, but she also running the gallery at Long Beach City College. And years ago, she had Sovanchan, and she had Sayon. But what you're looking for the work by the minority or immigrant, we talk about how we in school in 60% of minority at LBCC, but this is your 4 years working at the college. When you call for entry, what type of work are you looking for? And what you're expecting from
students? So at LBCC, I try to do at least 2 shows that I try to curate, and then 2 that are, other organized kind of by other people. And then there's the student art show. But for me, my priority, at least in art, in a city like Long Beach, because I think when I first got the position, I didn't really, for me, it was like I was at a bigger institution, I was at a big museum, a part of UCLA, the Hammer Museum. It's so renowned, at least for LA, that everyone thought like, oh, you're going to Long Beach, you're going to community college? Like, that's like why are you leaving this good job to then go? And yeah, my parents, I also studied art. My parents didn't approve of me studying art, even though my sister already had a successful career in art. But for me, it was the dream to get to run an art gallery for a space like LBCC, because I wanted to run a space that I thought I want to create exhibitions and have a space that is about conversation, about politics, about our lives, about what's going on through art. And in a city like Long Beach, I didn't realize how important LBCC really is, even though it's a community college. You compare it to Cal State Long Beach, which is a, more important space, but at least for Long Beach, I was like, it's got some good presence. It's an amazing space. And it really, for me, it was really important because I went to community college. I went to I think 5 community colleges because I kept not missing classes and having to go. That's the other thing, is that being an immigrant, no one tells you how hard it is to even just transfer. It's like a whole journey. And community college is really this place that it's okay to make mistakes, because it's really about the learning. And you can change your major, because it's easy to just, I had to I was a waitress, and I paid for all my education myself, just would save up and, would try to take classes and buy the books when I could. And sometimes I would just loan them out from the library and then just buy the old version. There was my tricks of I can't afford the newest version. But there's just, community college is just this incredible opportunity, that it's this great equalizer. And I think that's the place where we could really change the art world, because there's so many people that become an artist at 95. There's some, so everyone in the audience could then be the new emerging artist, right? We never know if one of you maybe you start your journey now, and you're the one that maybe has a show here in the next few years. And I think that's what's really incredible, that we can have those opportunities to explore, because all of us are born creative. That's what makes us human. And we all have expressions in different ways, whether that's dance or cooking or fashion, or, everyone has their own ways of expressing. But I think for what I'm really excited to show at LBCC is really just those different possibilities of the things that are being made by people of color, and especially trying to show art that reflects our student body. So really, LBCC is, I think, 50-something% Latino, and within the Latinx experience, like we have in Latin America, there's people from Asia, there's people from Africa, there's people who are just indigenous. Obviously, there's a Spanish or Portuguese influence as well, but Latin America is also very fertile because everyone who couldn't get into the U.S. went somewhere in Latin America through all the different wars. So Latin America also has like its own crazy hodgepodge. So for me, it's really important to show the intersectionalities that we have. Like, obviously in Southeast Asia, there's a lot of other intersectionalities, that it's not just like, we have different people who maybe have like French ancestry, or they might have like African ancestry. There's all kinds of incredible connections that really all of us have been migrating for so long. So for me, it's really exciting to get to show art that again speaks to our students, and our students come from every single walk of life. And our students are sometimes maybe in their third, fourth career, sometimes they're fresh out of high school, sometimes they're still enrolled in middle school. So that's what's really awesome, is that we get to, if I say I'm making exhibitions that excite our students are kind of like a full spectrum. And that's what's really awesome, is getting to think of what are the stories that we can connect to maybe their lives through art. But again, getting to show their art is really the most exciting thing. Like, artists like Sovanchan that started at LBCC, and then they had those opportunities to be nourished and to then move on to other things. But yeah, I think we have time for a question from the audience. You shouldn't be asking me, Brian.
First off, say I really appreciate this panel. Thank you all for being here and sharing, and of course having your work here. I wanted to ask a question for Sayon. You haven't had a chance to sort of speak about your work specifically, so I think you have the piece behind us over here and along the wall. So if you could talk a little bit about maybe one or both of those, and then for everyone, what would be something that you'd want us to take away from your piece? If there's like a thought or an inspiration or a question.
Yeah, I think, I mean, for my work, so it's that piece, thanks for that question, Mark. So it's that piece up there, the chicken wire with a lot of, skewer things going into the back of her. So as Sovanchan mentioned, about her work too, that, I use my work as a way of healing too, and to reflect back of what my parents went through in migration and during the war. And I really just had like an introspective of blaming them for a lot of things, blaming them for not being English or American enough, things like that, the crazy stuff that they didn't know that was floating in my head. And then, so when I realized that, the people were talking about the Khmer Rouge and all this stuff, of course I didn't know what the heck that was, and because of what the older generation went through, maybe it was just my own way of dealing with it and just really bury it away. And then when I started looking at my own family and myself, I just was really trying to look at the identity and the things that and what the community went through. So, but I mean, and that's what I do see in the community too, is through these layered lenses of what people may have gone through, depending on how young they are, how old they are, and then I just really have empathy and appreciation for their courage to be able to keep going. So yeah, I mean, hopefully when you look at my work, that you take all of those elements into it, and what was the energy of my history that was put in there.
I want to ask you, that's a good question, but particularly that piece like multiple sit on the wall, feature Princess Bowie, and but you did a lot of cut through that grit, and I always wonder that the way when you cut into that, to me like even of scar, wound, how is that resonate to your reason to create, and then start to cut it out to go through and see the layer behind?
Yeah, well, the process for that piece was, at first I wanted to use glitters, because I used a lot of this kind of kitsch material to talk about really hard topic. And because of the time period of thinking about her struggle of living through the Khmer Rouge and trying to maintain the Cambodian traditional Apsara dance, I really thought what she had to navigate through politically and socially. And then I realized too that, expression, self-expression, and colors were taken away. And I thought, man, what this woman had to go through at the time. But I also wanted to celebrate it. That's why underneath it is a confetti. It's very cheap material to get. But I just thought the confetti would come through it because here's all these amazing light within her. And the cutting part, just like weaving and sewing, I love to kind of knit little things. So the cutting part is very therapeutic in process thinking and thoughts that goes into it.
Yeah. Just many of you know that Princess Bobby, the daughter of King Sihanouk. Tida, you can respond to that, but I can see the gesture of the hand holding from the chest and to the face and going up. I know that when I was in Cambodia, the first day in Cambodia, they teach us American how to greet the Cambodian people by the position of the hand.
Respect.
Right. So can you talk a little about that and also your painting here?
My paintings here, like I said earlier, were done soon after I left school. And actually, as a student, I was an abstract oil painter. So I actually did not do any representational work. Only until I left school did I finally took it upon myself to kind of basically approach imagery in a way that I felt I had a very strong relationship, a very genuine one, and I was already troubled with being honest with myself as a Cambodian American, and I felt maybe that doing the apsara, because the apsara is so iconic in our culture, that I felt like that would be the best way to start. Let's just start with one. That's what happened. I started with one, and it was this one right here. And I finished it within 2 days, and I remember feeling so satisfied, just so liberated with, oh, this is a matter of fact. Like, I don't even need to argue with myself. I made one, and then I made two. I made a second one, just a smaller one over there. Once I got to the second one, I just kind of had this a great rhythm of just kind of, oh, let's just keep going with this. Like, you feel really good with it. This is the first time you're actually kind of focusing on very specific, articulating yourself in kind of imagery. You're using some sort of language right now, Tita. And then I did the third one, and I made sure each one was different, a bit different from the last. And then by the time I got to the fourth one, which is in the back, there's a lot more going on. There's a composition, there's a narrative, there's more than one figure. The female has darker skin tone. There's a lot more complexity that I started building in that narrative. And after making those, I really started diving into more of what the definition of my Cambodian American experience is. And it really just started opening up the door. I started painting gates, I started painting the setting, Long Beach, sunset, palm trees, like the kind of clothes we wear, the patterns, and then the domestic scene, the gardens, the kind of plants. It just really started unraveling itself. So these really were just like start right when it happened. And the first time actually showing in public.
I love that you bring that up, and I just want to like acknowledge just how beautiful it is to hear you talk about the beginning of your paintings. Like just hear you talk about this specific Apsara painting. There's something so cathartic and at peace in the tone and the palette, and you're in the first pieces here with the Apsara of you introducing yourself, slowly dipping your toes into fully immersing yourself into the Cambodian experience. And it's just so incredible to see in the last 10 years it's been, like how much your work has evolved, and your paintings today I love so much, and I hope I can have one day. But I don't know if you guys have seen Tita's work today, but there's something so familial
You have to
and
go
so
to the
beautiful.
Lakba. You got to go to the Los Angeles one. It says so much more about today, like how we're living.
Yeah, it feels like I stepped into my auntie's home, my grandma's home, my friend's home. Like it feels like home, her pieces, and I just love so much how comforting it is. And it just, every time I stand in front of your painting, it feels like a hug, and it feels like an ancestor like reaching out with the creepy hands. Although she's scary, the glittery hands is like, I'm safe, don't worry, I got you. Like it feels so good, and I just want to say thank you for your work. It's really beautiful.
Thank you. I should tell you guys that me and Sovanchan actually go way back before like our career started, or before we even graduated college. I was actually volunteering at a nonprofit called Long Beach Art Exchange, and she was also working there. She was the director for the program there, and she asked me to join in for a summer camp, and then we found out later on we were attending the same school as art department. She was in the fiber department, and I was in the painting department, and we've been, staying connected ever since. And we see each other once in a while. Actually, in the art world, the actually pretty small.
Yeah.
So it's been an amazing journey. I've learned along the way that there's lots of us out there really doing the most with trying to build the bridge between from Long Beach, Los Angeles, and then even beyond that.
Happy reunion.
Yeah, and it was like a full circle moment because Art Exchange was located. It was like, I don't know if you guys remember Acres of Books. It was this whole thing that was going to happen and then didn't happen, and so it's also another beautiful thing to see that like our relationship started. First, when I saw Tita, I was like, she's Khmer. Like I never see other Khmer people in an art space. Like I'm gonna go talk to her. And we ended up running this amazing summer program for like 6 years. But it's so cool to see Tita back in that space with her solo show. Like, what a full circle moment. How incredible.
All right. So well, that, my time, let's say, time's up. If we should have one time for one more question from the audience. If not, then thank you so much. And one more time, congratulations, your 50-year anniversary. And on behalf of the I House and also Long Beach City College, I wish you the most successful. And I would love to see the more artistic activity. And I always here, in your neighbor. If anything, let me know. And like Sayon, this is just start, right? So this start.
It's just
so
the beginning,
I would like to see Apsara dance event here in the future. And as Sam just showed me a bunch of children painting from CCU, and how wonderful the kid only a few years old started to paint the temple and the Buddha. So there's a lot of hope, so this 50 years, half of century, also beginning of the new things. So one more time, congratulations and thank you so much.
If you haven't gotten a chance yet, there's the basement downstairs where we had an altar of our ancestors up, and yeah, please work with Brian. You know, this space is obviously beautiful and industrial and has its unique appearance and everything. Brian has put so much work into fixing what this, if you have been here before, these literally have like rocks rolling around on it. So, and yeah, so you've done amazing work here, Brian.
Yeah. Thank you. You also want to hand out a certificate for the...
Oh yeah, I think there's going to be a certificate coming up.
We do. But we have representatives from elected officials here, but I want to bring Councilwoman Dr. Suli Sorrow from the 6th District. I want Suli to help us close the Rumduol event. I don't know if you know that some of you, this is your first time here, but we have been showcasing many artists, author, writers, opening since August 9th, I think it was, August 9th. So today is our last day at the Ice House, closing the Rumduol project and dual activities with this group of artists. Very impressive. Tita, I want to say it's like a full circle. Councilwoman just showed me a painting that you did with her sign. Do you recall it? With her sign.
Yeah.
And here she is coming back to present you the certificate, but Suli's going to close for us today, and then we'll present the certificate
So
to
Mr.
the
mentioned like the last day on 28th.
The 28th,
Yeah,
yes.
28th.
Yes, it'll still be here, but yes.
Yeah,
that
so
is
the last
correct.
day of the
Thank
show
you.
is on the 28th here.
28th, yeah.
All right, well, good evening, everyone. As Bobby Simon once shared, I'm Councilwoman Suli Sorrow. I'm the councilwoman adjacent to this area, and I'm proud to represent Cambodia Town, also all the parts of the central area where LBCC PCC campus is. I have to say that, it's been a significant year in this anniversary of the 50th year as also daughter of survivors of, the genocide. It's been an emotional, process. I think I get so emotional because I think about the 50 years as survival. It's been a lot of challenges that our parents have gone through. And what we do as children of survivors is we have to straddle both worlds. We have to straddle how to support our parents and be parents as children and navigate a new world. And I'm emotional because I heard you guys talking. And I hear so much of the weight of the trauma and the history that's still, whether you experience it directly or not, it's been transmitted right through just unsaid word, environment, the emotion that you grew up in. And I have two, and there's two areas where Cambodian parents don't want you to work in, and that's art and politics. Politics is the area I went into, right? Not as a full-time paying job, because like artists, you don't get paid that much unless you're in another level, right? Yeah. So it's definitely a work of service and some level of expression about a purpose, right? And I appreciate all the work that the committee has done to make sure that whether it was organized or well thought out, or it was about really doing what our parents do, is making it happen, whether or not you had all of the resource or the materials to do so, but it is about bringing people together and making sure that we do, something that I wanted to share is that by remembering the past, we honor those we lost and what we lost, right? And by educating the present, we ensure that these lessons and stories are never forgotten, and you do that through your painting, others do that through their writings, others do that through film, thank you. And I do that through the work of how do we empower people to use their political and their votes, because that's a narrative in itself, whether it's artistic or not. It is a science. It's an art, I have to say, to some level, right? And that, you know, the last thing is really, you know, we honor the past. I think by not being imprisoned by the trauma, right, but figuring out how do we move forward. That's why I asked the question of how do you see yourself moving in 5 to 10 years? And because really, to me, what I think about the next 50 years is really about thriving and not letting go of the past, but how do we build on it, right? It's like, it's a foundation that we didn't choose, but what has been laid out for us. And it's really what do we make of it and how do we do it together? And I think the biggest obstacle has been to come together and be united. And I think that within the 50 years, we've been able to accomplish that in some way for generations, also within city and across countries, based on what you all do as artists and all of the other Cambodian Americans that's created the experience that we have all defined together, right? So just want to thank you, and you know, I didn't expect to get so emotional, but it really hit me at this moment, because you know, when you get so busy and the minute that you have a chance to kind of think and about the significance, right? So, you know, we pride ourselves a lot about being the largest Cambodian community or population in Long Beach. And that's great, but it's a responsibility we bear and that you carry, right, through your artwork. So thank you for doing that. So Tita, the other thing I want to thank you for is painting that mural twice. Well, first painting it and then redoing it, because, you know, we do have some challenges on how, and we have graffiti on it, but it's really what brightens and lifts up a spot that's, again, challenged. And that's really how I see us as Cambodian, is that we're in rough spots, but we always find these bright moments like today, right? And so thank you again. And want to make sure we honor you with certificates and to encourage you to continue to represent. And so I'm sorry, I just cried and my snot is on here.
Come on
so
up.
I want to make sure.
Come up here.
I don't want to spread any germs. I'm not sick, guys. Thank you so much.
Tida. Tida, I'm sorry. Tida. Sovanchan.
I also want to thank Sovanchan, who is part of the representative from...
Yeah, we got you covered. Yeah, we're not going to leave you out.
Request for these, and like I've also requested.
I just want to share, first of all, thank you so much to all of the artists for sharing your experiences and for opening up, because it takes a lot to express yourself on a medium, right? And it takes a lot to take your work and share it to the world, especially when it has so much deep meaning to yourself, because it ties back to what happened to our history, what happened in our history, but like what we're hoping for the future. So what you're doing right now is hopeful, because Rumduol is, as y'all know, or some of you don't know, is the state of, the country Cambodia's official flower. And it means creativity and resilience. 50 years of resilience, 50 years of creativity. I only see positive things moving forward from now on. Now, Tita, you have your work at Lakma, right? That she's planting a seed for future Rumduols to go visit Lakma to see her work. That's how we celebrate our work. That's how we push forward and honor what you've done to honor us as a community. So I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your work, and also thank you to the audience for being here, because you are reaping the wealth and the experience of the Rumduol flower energy that they're giving off to you. So thank you so much for that. Again, my name is Savannah. I represent Senator Leah Gonzalez. I'm just here to give out surges to all of you, because you all deserve the next round of applause. For them, please.
We also have Ian May. Ian is from LA County Assessor Jeff Frank, and I have 36 years of county employee, so the is also part of our family as well.
Well, from one county
Feel like graduation.
thank you everyone for being
Too
here.
messy.
And most importantly, thank you to all the panelists for sharing your stories. It was really awesome to hear how you place your personal experience in life in these artworks. And it's really important that not just for today's generations, but in the future to see how each artist's actual life is reflected in these artworks. They are timeless, and they remind us of extremely important moments and memories in people's lives. And as Sovanchan and you all mentioned, and the councilwoman mentioned earlier, Rumduol is a time for remembrance of the 50-year anniversary of the Khmer Rouge, of the genocide, the awful tragedies that happened many years ago. And I know that our work isn't all about trauma, but it's important to know about the horrors, because if we don't learn from them, we're doomed to repeat them. And so I just wanted to highlight the importance and the significance of your artwork. It really does make an impact through the generations. And as someone who works right next to LACMA, I am definitely going to check out your artwork now, because it's really profound. So on behalf of Los Angeles County Assessor Jeff Crane, thank you all for being here. Thank you for sharing your lives and your work with us.
Thank you.
I wanted to make sure we give thanks to United Cambodian Community, the Cambodia Town Film Festival, and the Cambodian American Cultural Center, and the Khmer Buddhist Foundation for all of their support and their work for contributing to the success of Rumduol. Thank you
Just listen and like now.
Thanks.
Need to go there.
Supporting and making sure that unfolded.
It just opened, so I think it's going here.
And thank you for allowing space for representative to come and honor you by presenting certificate. I always believe in that. Why we ask for a certificate from the city, from the county, from the state, because that's part of amplifying your voices so that people hear, people know what we're doing, so it's not quiet. I believe in amplifying the voices of what you do so that other people can hear. And I believe that when I ask for a certificate, that I'm putting this event into the database. That this is an event that's going to make it in history that, hey, we did something. So this is what I believe in. And thank you so much. Brian, thank you for giving us this space.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I just want to also acknowledge the committee member. Definitely United Cambodian Community organized this, Sayon. And then the other committee member is Dr. Susan Coutinho right there. I forgot to mention you earlier, so she's one of the committee member. So Sovanchan is also on the committee. Of course, Sam Lamone, and also Monica Sok and Dr. Christine Su, Kaylee So of Cambodia Town Film Festival, Prajli, and a few other community members. They were just like helping support Honey Hatch as well. So this event would not come together without everyone working together, just as the leaders here, Dr. Saro, Savannah, and Jeff Prang's representative for being here. So thank you all for coming and joining. I think we're going to hang out and have a visit after.
Right, yes.
Can we do a group picture with
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, cool. All right,
thank you.